live stream, not too bad.
I just want to thank everybody for coming on. This is actually the first time we've live streamed, and this has been quite the prep. So thank you guys for your patience.
We apologize in advance for the bad name on the live stream because we couldn't figure out how to make it anything other than live stream, which is totally Alex's fault because there was a place where he could edit the name, but he couldn't figure it out.
I think it was just a different language. That's all it was. Live stream.
Here we go. Here we go. We're doing this.
I see Weston. I see Oscar. I see John. I see Joey. What's up, everyone?
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the live stream.
Hello, hello. You know what I'm going to do? Let me push this over to my channel and get the link. Hang with us, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being patient.
We need some of that elevator music as we get things going.
Or do you remember the Wii song, the doot 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 doot?
Oh, look at that! There it is.
But you're walking in the waiting room.
All right, I just changed the name. Weston.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Weston's here. He's like the most active person we have in the whole group. Thank you.
And this live stream.
Now it says trade the chain live Q&A. Don't worry.
I changed it. I got it.
Straight.
All right.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, one of the things that I really want to do, guys, is just do, kind of three module sections of this live stream. And that's one, I want to start off with the basic administrative stuff. So let me see here. Who's the best at sharing screens? Hey Josh, are you able to share your screen, or Ryan?
I can share my screen. Yeah, what do you want to share?
So just show the front spotlight page.
Sure. Can you guys see?
I see it.
All right, cool. So the first thing I wanted to go over is, and we're gonna look at the live chat for questions and stuff, is the administrative thing. So when you go into your initial account, you log on, you see the upper navigation menu, and settings is going to be your first thing. Because I know what all you guys are doing. You're coming on and you're saying, okay, I'm staring at this thing. How does it work? What do I do just to even get rolling? On this page, it's going to have your password resets, and it's also going to have your billing and subscription. So you can go to your billing and subscription module. You can change cards. You can change various things as it relates to your account. And then also, just as important, is going to be that question mark in the lower right-hand side. Now, that's how you're going to communicate with us as far as if you have any back office questions, whether it's canceling your subscription or changing your subscription, or even there's a few help docs there as well on our instant answer stuff. From here, this is what you're going to do to email. When you go ask on this bubble and you type in something, that's going to go directly to all of us back here, and we see it. Now, depending on the time zone, I just want to say, because we have subscribers that are all over the world, depending on this, when we're sleeping, we're going to answer this as soon as we can, because it alerts us, okay? If you have any questions that are regarding the system or like the sentiment or where things are, we have a whole tab called the help docs up top as well.
And just pointing out, you can also search here. So if you're on the coins page, for example, and there's some metric, you're like, oh, I don't know what long-term sentiment is. I mean, one, you can actually hover over. You can hover over those metrics and it should show you. Oh, that was the wrong one. If you click on it, it will show you the definition on the side. But you can also go in here and where there's instant answers, if there's a metric, let's say long-term, you can just, type it in and click enter, and it will show you a definition of the metric. So no matter where you are on the page, on Spotlight, anywhere else, you can plop this open and you say, oh, what is daily sentiment? Well, you type that in, you click enter, and then you get an explanation of what that metric means.
All right. And go up to the help docs if you could real quick, Josh. There's a lot of stuff that gets answered up here. This is through trial and error, these FAQs. And so if you're having issues with trying to figure out what something is, particularly in any of the modules on the website, this is going to explain it. So like if you, for instance, go to average tweet volume, click on that. And it's going to explain to you what the average tweet volume definition is. So in this case, average tweet volume measures the 30-day average of how many tweets there are in a particular coin. And so if something goes beyond this, as far as questions, you can come back and you can go hit us out with that question mark. But these are going to be the basic definitions of what everything works. Relative trading volume, click on that. There you go. So that's going to be the explanation of what the relative trading volume is. Now, we're going to go back to the coin page, or to the Spotlight page. The Spotlight page is your opening page. It's the first thing you see. I'm sure you guys, all the members, they come in, they look at this. Half you guys are probably like, well, what is this? Josh is going to walk us through each section of this front page and exactly what it is.
Sure. Yeah. So when you look at the Spotlight page, on the top, you'll see 8 little boxes. The top 4 boxes are related to overall market metrics. So you'll just see the total market cap and the percentage change there. So for example, all of crypto right now is down 0.8% over the last 24 hours. The total market cap of crypto is $394 billion, which is across all coins. This shows you the average daily sentiment score. This is actually pretty high. The average asset on Trade the Chain right now has a sentiment score of 63. So the average asset is pretty bullish. We'll also see here that trading volume in the market is up 4.4% today, and tweet volume is up 6.7%, which is pretty significant considering this is across every asset. We also just wanted to really quickly at a glance, when people loaded the page, be able to show them Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so you can see Bitcoin's price and daily sentiment score and Ethereum's price and daily sentiment score. Bitcoin's price is up slightly. Sentiment is pretty neutral. Ethereum's price is down a little bit. Again, sentiment's neutral, nothing too significant there. But something interesting to see is the hottest assets on Twitter. And so this doesn't tell you necessarily if people are positive or negative. This just tells you what people are talking about. And right now we can see that Aave is seeing the biggest spike in Twitter conversations, followed by Wacky Chain, Horizon, Yearn Finance, and a bunch of other assets. We can see here with a lot of these assets, they're actually seeing pretty significant price movement. So as I mentioned before, high tweets doesn't necessarily mean anything positive. It just means that a lot of people are talking about an asset. And we see that like with, Horizon, which is seeing a 300% increase in Twitter activity. Horizon actually has I believe a hard fork coming up for anybody who didn't know, as well as Zcash in a couple of weeks. But not a hard fork, sorry. I mean, a halving. Horizon and Zcash are both having their halving coming up in a few weeks, which nobody's talking about. But Zen is actually down 8% today, even though it's seeing a spike. Here you can see the most bullish and bearish tokens. We see that IOTX is the most bullish token right now. Horizon has actually become bullish. We can actually go in and explore whether that's more recent or not. Because sometimes what you'll see is an asset can be really bearish, but that sentiment can flip very, very, very fast. So even if a price is down in an asset, it's possible that if sentiment is really bullish and tweet volume is really bullish, that's kind of a positive confluence of factors for the asset going forward. But you can see here which assets people are most bullish about and which assets people are most bearish about. And that's based off this metric called daily sentiment score. And I'll walk you guys through that. But, as mentioned before, it's great to be able to go here and just click it and see what the metric actually is. But basically what we're looking at is how positive or negative investors are about a particular asset over the last 24 hours versus the previous 20 days. So when the score on IOTX is really high, for example, that means that over the last 24 hours, people are way more positive on IOTX than they have been over the last 20 days. You want to run through coins or you want me to, Alex?
Yeah, no, if you could run through coins as well, that'd be great. And everybody, if you any particular question that you're having, drop it in the chat and we'll answer it right here on the spot. I know that we get a lot of DMs from the members during the course of a day about certain things. So just drop it here if you want it answered right away.
Yeah, and so to kind of walk through this, step by step, you'll see that there are some columns that I have here. But if you go to customize columns, there's actually a ton of data that you guys can add. And you can also reset it to default. So if you're like, hey, I kind of want to see what what Alex decided and Ryan decided and the Trade the Chain guys decided was what they wanted as the default feed, well, you can go back in, you can click reset to default, but you can also add a bunch of different metrics. So some of our customers really love looking at 24-hour change versus Bitcoin. One of the reasons being is that crypto is often really correlated. And so being able to see if assets are outperforming or underperforming Bitcoin is super important, because what you can see is that like in any given day, everything may be up, but they may actually be underperforming Bitcoin, right? And so it's really nice to be able to see, quickly which are the best performing assets versus Bitcoin. And we can see, for example, that, Divi is outperforming Bitcoin today. You can also sort by daily sentiment as we discussed before. But some of the cooler metrics that you can add around that is like daily sentiment momentum. And what daily sentiment momentum measures is basically the 15-minute change in daily sentiment score. And so, for example, with IrisNet, the tweet volume is pretty insignificant, but we see that there's this big positive change in sentiment over the last 15 minutes. And I'm not sure why that is, but that's obviously the thing that you could kind of go and explore later. But you can kind of, go see, which assets, and you just saw the screen updated in real time, but which assets are seeing the biggest changes in sentiment. So sometimes you can have an asset like Kyber Network, which was bearish throughout the day. We're seeing now that sentiment momentum is starting to change, and it could be interesting to continue to watch that. Two other interesting metrics that we love are relative tweet volume and relative trading volume. So relative tweet volume measures how many more conversations an asset has today versus average. And then relative trading volume measures how many more trades an asset has versus average. And so being able to, you look at Aave, for example, we see that Aave's longer term sentiment is a bit more bullish. Daily sentiment is neutral, but momentum is swinging positive, and tweets and trading volume are up. To me, that potentially is quite interesting, especially, in this market where everything else is going down. The fact that Aave is seeing this surge in conversations to me is interesting. And, if I'm a technical trader, maybe that means I'll go check out the charts now and take a look.
And one of the things that you got to remember, guys, is also that depending on what type of, there's really two significant people that come into the groups, right? You have people like our friend Rob, who's a dollar cost average guy. That group looks at different sentiment and seeing when there possibly can be some price action to the lower side so that they can accumulate more. And then you have some guys that are TAs like our Trade the Chain analysts, CJ and Monty. So where they're constantly poring over the charts. Now, one of the things that this does on the active trader side is that it actually reduces time. So if you like doing technical analysis or any sort of chart graph searching, this kind of helps you lower the time that it takes to go through all the charts in the ecosystem. You identify the sentiment ones that you like, and then you can just click on those charts and start doing your technical analysis on it.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. Totally agree with you. I think it's a great way to spot opportunities. And one thing to keep in note that we really like to look at is, at the end of the day, crypto is an asset class that's void of fundamental metrics. And so the only real fundamental in crypto, the reason that certain assets have succeeded while others haven't, is community, right? The reason Bitcoin is the biggest coin is not because Bitcoin is the most technologically impressive blockchain, because Bitcoin was built 12 years ago. And certainly there are just going to be, people that build, better blockchains over time, right? But it's the fact that Bitcoin has this massive community of supporters. And so one of the metrics that I love the most is I love to just watch this relative tweet volume metric to see kind of how Twitter activity is changing. But I'm not necessarily even looking for that as a day trader. It's more just like monitoring an asset like Aave and seeing if the community is growing over time. So if I'm constantly seeing Aave hit the top of that list, hit the top of that list, hit the top of the list, to me, and we saw that a few years ago with Chainlink, when Chainlink was back at like 50 cents, it just kept going super high on relative tweet volume, and that Link Marine community kept growing and growing and growing. And we saw that Chainlink's price kind of followed. And now we've seen Chainlink actually on the other side of things kind of starting to shrink a little bit more as Chainlink's price has gone down. So even if you're a more longer term, hodler, it's sometimes great to track the assets that you're holding, and just every couple hours or even every day or so, just check to see if that Twitter activity continues to grow or continues to shrink, because community size is incredibly important. And that's also true with like average tweet volume. Just being able to see which assets are tweeted about the most is a really good gauge for community, because sometimes you'll actually see a smaller asset. For example, Celsius is smaller. It's about 315 million in market cap, but it actually has a bigger community than Monero does. And to me, that's kind of interesting. That doesn't mean that's necessarily a buy, but for me, that's like, hey, maybe I should go start doing some more research into this asset and determine whether or not it's the right asset for me to be taking a position in.
That's a great point, Josh. And when looking at coins, I know our users have quite a few questions around that. And the first one came from Brad Holloway. Alex, maybe you can handle this one. He asked, do you guys take positions in coins before making recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Brad. And there's been a few questions to that nature. So no, we do. We may have positions in coins before those recommendations come out, but they're not our recommendations. This is all sentiment data through AI. This is, when you see an alert, we have no control out of that alert. I mean, if that alert said a funny joke, none of us wrote it. We don't know what's going to pop out of the alert button. So we cannot front run anything that pops out of the system. We have to react to it the same exact way you guys do.
And just to add, so from the ties end, our employees don't actively trade tokens. We've had an ethics policy about that for years. Our employees are allowed to hold long-term positions, can buy Bitcoin and hold for 6 to 12 months. But nobody is actively placing any trades on a daily basis. We are not great traders. We are great at providing data and helping the community. And it's not right for our customers, both our hedge fund institutional customers, as well as our individual customers, for us to be trading off of the data, because that can be perceived as an unfair advantage. And so we bar our employees from doing it.
Very cool. Now, what are some of the, you've already gone through a lot of stuff on the coins page, but when someone is looking at the coins page, and they're relatively new, because we do have a handful of members that are new as well. What are some pop outs that that they can say, oh, I should be paying attention to this, or I should be paying attention to that? What's an easy first pop out indicator it takes to take that next step into looking into a coin?
To me, the biggest one is relative tweet volume. It's looking at what is seeing the biggest spike in conversations. I like to look at when relative tweet volume and relative trading volume are both green. That means more people are talking about something and more people are trading something. And to me, that's the first step as hey, there could be something interesting here. Look, as an example, we have Ocean, right? And this is not necessarily just a great platform for finding opportunities to buy, but it's also a great opportunity to find things that you want to short or that you want to sell. And we see that with Ocean. Look at Ocean. It's got the biggest, positive green on trading and tweet volume, and it's actually down 13% today. And that's, to me, that's really interesting. And volatility, breeds opportunity, right? And we've seen a lot of times in markets, and I mean, you guys are much, more competent as it relates to technicals than I am. But, when things, a lot of people will say buy the dip, right? And even for just trying to identify when assets dip or when there's opportunities, it's kind of a great starting point to look at what people are talking about and what people are trading. And so that, for me personally, that's where I'm looking.
All right. Very cool. Rob, from your side, what are some of the questions that you've been asked or that, that you've seen that's been kind of, big in the community so far?
Not so much, what the heck is, okay, great. I'm not going to be a big echo. Let me make sure I'm here.
I'm going to put headphones to you just in case.
Thanks. So for me, well, first of all, I'm not a trader. I think everybody knows that. If you've been on my channel, I talk about it like nonstop. So when I look at these types of things, I'm glad Josh is here because I don't understand half the stuff he just said. Some of these times I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So, but besides that, I will just tell you a story. When I first got into crypto in 2017, there was a platform that would talk about all these gains and everything else. And then when you went in there, there was like no training. There was nothing really to it. It was super expensive and I got burned. So when I see something like this, where people are coming and going, you know, first of all, that Slack channel that is private to the group, when those people get in there and they ask the questions and there's things like, we need to know about this, it always gets answered. And the same thing is going to happen here. I think all the questions that we have over there can be answered on some of these types of videos. Mm-hmm. I would just say like this, like what Josh just said about, what was it? Oh, the question from Brad, where he said, hey, are you actually, you know, do you guys take positions? Like that would be a great little snippet to put into like the FAQ section. So when people are asking these questions, they don't have to keep going back and back and back. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think that makes sense. And then Josh even told me another thing, because like these type of metrics, again, not a trader, what I'm looking for is like the negative news. So like if there's some kind of like hack, I'm like, great. If there's a hack on Coinbase or it's going down or whatever else, I can just say, okay, maybe this isn't right now the time to DCA. I'm going to wait for this information to kind of disseminate through the whole area. Then once the price drops, then I will slide in and go, okay, I'm going to buy Celsius for not $1.32. It's going to be $1.20. I'm good with that. So that only made sense to me. And then, but Josh has been saying things in the group where he talks about things like there was a notification where it said there was a burn for Binance coin that just came up, and I was like, who cares? And then Josh, you know, comes in and is like, hey, because there's going to be a burn, this could lead to a nice influx. This could be like an opportunity. And I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
So I think that's a good point. So within the app, and then, you know, within the Slack channel, but also within the app, you know, there's a few different things we have. We have, you know, the BitMEX rec, the well alerts in the news. For me, there's a few things that I'm looking for with well alerts. One of the things is what you just brought up is token burns. And from research that we've done, historically, 100% of the time when tokens are burned, the price of an asset goes up within 24 hours. It's not necessarily sustained for a long period of time, but 100% of the time from our experience, the price will go up. And that's using data. We've looked at about 10,000 data points. The price of a token will go up within the next 24 hours. The reason that happens is if we consider, let's just put an example made up coin. Let's say coin ABC that has a supply of 10 million. What a token burn would mean is that the foundation of the people issuing the token are burning 1 million of the tokens. So all of a sudden now they're only 9 million, right? So the supply has been reduced by 10%. And what that means is if you assume the market cap is going to stay the same, let's say the market cap was $10 million. Now all of a sudden you have a $10 million market cap, but instead of 10 million coins, now you have 9 million coins. And so for me, being alerted of something like a token burn is really interesting because that means it's not, you know, people like to talk about the fact that, oh, Bitcoin's inflation rate is so low while the US dollar is going to deflate so much. But with the token burn, it's actually deflationary. So instead of, you know, something inflating, the supply is going down. And to me, that's really interesting. The other well alert that I really like to look at is new issuances of Tether. And new issuances of stablecoins. So for example, USDT or USDC or Paxos Standard or anything else. Because for me, what that means is all of a sudden investors are putting millions of fiat dollars into the system for stablecoins, right? And if you see something like 150 million USDT are printed, that's now 150 million US dollars that are into crypto. And we see here at the top, crypto's market cap is $394 billion. But 150 million is pretty significant. Like that's a ton of new capital that's flowing into the system. And while that may not immediately move into something like Bitcoin or ETH or anything else, what we saw during the 2017 bull market is every time Tether was being printed, the price of Bitcoin was going up corresponding with it. So what I really like to look at with the well alerts are specifically just the printing of new stable coins and token burns. I don't know if Alex or Ryan or Dan, you have any comments, questions, or thoughts on your own.
I mean, well, I mean, just so everybody knows, I totally agree. So every piece of news has a storyline somewhere, more than likely, right? So to what Josh just said, whether it's the burns or whether it's the movements, Those things tell a story of something that could be systemic to it as far as a price action happening in relation to what those particular alerts mean. The easy ones to pick are, the Binance Coinbase effect alerts, right? So, we had this, we had audio last Friday. The alert came out, ahead of the market. Next thing you know, Rob is sending me over an article the next day. Hey, did you see audio went up 1,150%? I think it was up, we were actually talking about it, Josh and the team, and I think it was up 110% when, like 20 minutes after the alert or something. So those are the easy cherry picking ones.
And we had a couple. We also had EasyFi as well.
Oh, right. EasyFi was a good one. EasyFi was a good alert. So I mean, those are two alerts in the last 10 days, let's call it, that were very, very significant to the upside. Again, those are the easy ones to do. I know there's been a lot of chatter in the membership Slack about people trying to set up on different exchanges and stuff so that they can take advantage of that. I mean, yes, we're not going to tell you to use VPNs or anything like that, nothing illegal, but the ones that you are allowed to use, set up to be able to take those positions because they are timely. To what Josh dropped into the membership channel yesterday, I believe, or early today, is that those are like short bounce hops. So where you're going to make your profit on the way up, but make sure that you don't stay in too long because they do tend to subside. Unless it's a blue chip exchange, it'll hang tight. But
the thing to keep in mind, what we've seen with exchange listings they are the least sustainable events. So, yes. Over a week, the average exchange listing looks like this. Asset gets listed on exchange, we pick it up, then, hopefully a couple of minutes later, the public picks it up, right? And then, there's a few minutes of big opportunity there in between, and then boom, the price skyrockets up, and then bang, it crashes right back down. So that's great. I mean, as a trader, that's great, right? These are not long-term things. It's not like, hey, X coin got listed on Coinbase, buy it and hold it for the rest of your life. It's X coin got listed on Coinbase. We can reasonably presume that based off of historical data, we expect the price to go up within the next 15 to 20 minutes. That's the time to get in. But if you miss it, a lot of the time, the thing will actually go up and then straight back down, but it will also kind of have like this bounce back up too. So it's possible that it breeds so much volatility that you could make money on an exchange listing 5 times. You could buy it on the way up, sell it, and then short it, make money, then buy it again. Right. I mean, there's so much. I mean, the great thing about exchange listings are they breed so much volatility that there's so much opportunity to make money. You could make money on an exchange listing 5 times. Obviously, that's very complicated, and that's not what I'm suggesting. But the point just being is it really matters that you get in as fast as possible. If you're 15 minutes late, I would suggest staying away, potentially wait to see what happens. If it goes back down, maybe that's an opportunity. Like if you see an asset gets listed on Coinbase, it goes up and then it goes back down below the pre-listing price. To me, that becomes really interesting because now all of a sudden that asset is going to be available on Coinbase to their millions of customers around the globe. And so I would reasonably expect that there are going to be more people who couldn't access the asset before who now can access the asset that are interested. But in terms of like trading it right away, in terms of, short term, you got to be in the first few minutes or else, I would recommend you stay away.
That right there that Josh has said needs to be a training at TTC.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And by the way, this is not financial advice. We're not teaching you how to trade. We're giving you examples.
I'm saying historical data because, this is all based off what's happened in the past, not what is going to happen in the future. But we've noticed a lot of patterns. And what we're trying to do is help you identify opportunities based off of patterns that resulted in the highest increases in prices.
But keep in mind, this is not financial advice at all. We're not telling you what to buy or sell or how to invest. We just give you the signals and help you make more informed decisions. We are not investment advisors at all.
Exactly.
And that's Ryan Gorman, the best hair in crypto. He's also our fine print. And also one of the things, guys, is when it comes to this, it's some of these coins that are thinly traded. They're not going to have technicals behind them. Okay. And so if you're trying to do an event-driven type of price action to a technical analysis of if a price action is going to happen, the two generally don't go hand in hand unless it's one of the guys on the big board like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something like that. So, and then, another question that we've had is, hey, can we have this coin supported or this coin supported? And those are great questions, right? So everybody wants to see what their favorite coins are or the ones that they're curious about. Some coins, and I think like Atari, which I dropped into the chat when I did an interview with the CEO earlier in the week, people like, how do I get Atari? And we're not going to have Atari supported because Atari is just getting listed. That was what the whole announcement was about. So not only is it just being listed, so we can't have any sentiment data on it, but also there's not enough tweets possibly on it. And you'll see some of the coins that are actually on the coins page, and it won't have any sentiment on it because there just hasn't been enough data to extrapolate.
Yeah, we need 12 tweets a day to calculate sentiment. If there's less than 12 tweets a day, we can't calculate it. And so it usually means that there's just not enough dialogue, right? We don't want one person to be talking about something and for that person to be super bullish and for us to say, oh my God, sentiment's 100. When it's just one person, right? So we try to get a big enough sample size to give you an accurate reflection of how investors, think about the market.
And mind you, between the data scrubbing and everything, when it comes to like the social media to the tweet sentiment and stuff like that, it does filter away the noise, right? So the programs is capable of handling BS, so to speak, that may skew it.
Yeah, so it needs to be 12 tweets from non-bot accounts. So we have a 13 step patented process for trying to filter out spam and bots. So we're looking at, for example, how long the account's been around for. So if somebody creates an account tomorrow, which is secretly Alex, which is just posting positive things about Atari, we'll weed that out, right? We want to make sure the account's been around. If the account just tweets about the same asset over and over and over and over again, and it looks like it's just a fake account created to promote an individual asset, we'll block it. If they have a ridiculous follower to follows ratio, like they're following 10,000 accounts and they only have one follower, we tend to ignore it. So what we're looking at is trying to identify who are the real people talking about these assets. What we really care about is like when some just average person or anybody just shares their opinion on something, right? Not just a paid account to promote and show one coin. We with relative tweet volume, for example, when that goes up to 300%, that can mean that like new people are talking about the asset that weren't before, and having a gauge of how they feel about an asset that asset is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I also want to stress that join the community is so important. So when you subscribe, you get a welcome email. And you also get another email, which is a link to the members only community, and that's for Slack. You have to open that up. So you're going to go in there. You're going to find answers to all sorts of things, stuff like that. And I've seen, behind the scenes, I've seen some people haven't even activated their invite link. You have to activate it. We have a great guy in there, Weston Nelson. He's awesome. He's our community ambassador, and he extremely smart. And as well as there's a bunch of us in there as well who are not as smart, but we can answer a lot of your questions. So please definitely join the community. It's super important. There's a lot of great people in there, and it goes 24 hours a day. There's subscribers from all over the world, and I think last we were up to 16 different time zones. So it's pretty cool.
I mean,
and we got it. No, go for it, Ryan.
One might argue the community itself is as important, if not more important, than the signals dashboard and the coin sentiment, because the conversation,
100%.
the platform is where you really get the value, because that's where you can bounce ideas off each other. That's where you can come to understand things, get questions.
That's also where you can get notified of the signals. So we will send you the alerts right away into Slack. So make sure you have it downloaded on your phone or your computer or both, because that is where you get notified of them right away and can act. You don't want to just be sitting on this application all day. because you go to get up to go to the bathroom and you miss it, right? And so having it on your phone is super important.
Josh, actually, thank you for bringing that up, because that's been another thing. It's you get the real-time alerts on the desktop or on whatever device you're looking at, but you get notified of the real-time alerts when you download the Slack application and sign in with your subscriber, with your Slack credentials. That's where it pings you. So definitely you have to download that. Really important. Let's see here.
We got a couple questions. So XRP Tony Stark is asking, will there be issues using OTC to buy and sell large amounts of Bitcoin or XRP during the heart of the next bull run? He's asking about 500 to 1,000 Bitcoin. You can buy 500 to 1,000 Bitcoin. You'll probably move the price, but you can do it. There's always going to be somebody looking to sell, but hopefully during the bull run, there's a lot more people looking to buy than looking to sell. But, if price goes up too fast, people will want to sell. So, things don't move perfectly up. And we've seen that with Bitcoin. We've been moving up Bitcoin's been above 10,000 for the longest period of time it's ever been up above 10,000. I think it was 91 days on Monday. So I guess about 95 days now. So Bitcoin's been above 10,000 for about 95 consecutive days. But we see that it hasn't been perfectly up, right? If Bitcoin goes up too fast, some people will sell, right? And so there shouldn't be any issue, accessing liquidity. Another question that we got was from Ron on Kucoin. I don't know if you can get verified on Kucoin as a U.S. citizen. That's the thing you have to ask Kucoin's customer support.
The Kucoin came up because you had a proposal in the membership channel, and it was very interesting because I took your side. And then I went through and I read some responses to it. And, it is kind of right. Like, do we take the Kucoin alerts off, or do we keep them on because it might have an effect on something? So it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's up to the user base, which is why we put it in there. The Kucoin right now has been opening withdrawals and deposits for some of the assets that were previously hacked. And so we think it makes sense to temporarily remove Kucoin until things settle a little bit. I haven't seen any Kucoin listings recently since the hack have an impact on price, which is why I've suggested removing it. But it doesn't make a difference to me. It's just what people want. What I'm trying to do as much as possible, we're just the backend data provider, right? This is Alex's platform and Ryan's platform and the Trade the Change guys platform. We just provide a lot of the data for it. What I'm trying to do is isolate out, signal from noise as much as possible. And my perspective is I think it's better to send less alerts that have more value than more alerts where they have, some of them may not provide
quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Indeed.
No, totally agree.
We have two more from the live chat on the video. One of them is from John, asking if he needs to pay for Slack. John, no, Slack is the chat room is included with your membership to Trade the Chain, and the app itself is free to download. So charge there. And anyone else can field this one. For new listings, does the platform inform which trade site it's found on? That's from Moni SC.
Yeah, they're all linked. So everything will have a link. So when you get notified, if it doesn't say, it will have a link. Click on the link and it will take you to like Huobi's blog or OKEX's whatever, or Binance's, forum or whatever it is. So it will say it a lot of the time, but if it doesn't say it, just click the link and you'll see based off where it's coming from, who's listing the asset.
Yeah, it's been pretty seamless. When the things that I get, it just links it like the audio one, which just says Binance is listing this. You click on that, it goes right to Binance. So pretty simple.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Rob, I really have to say I'm digging the beard. Second time you've grown it out in the last month. It may be a keeper.
It may be a keeper. Well, it's because I got to travel back to Houston today. So this sweet backdrop will be gone, and I got a lot of things to do, and shaving isn't on the agenda for today.
You got a comment about the beard somewhere. I'm trying to find it, but it was in the chat.
It was towards the beginning. Someone mentioned No Shave November.
No Shave November, exactly.
No Shave November. Actually, you know what? If I do shave, I'll just shave the beard and I'll just get a big, huge stash with the curls.
Love it. Does anybody?
Weston Nelson has the best. When is the next real-time alert coming for a new listing that'll get me 1,000% guaranteed returns?
I wish I knew, Weston.
I wish I knew.
Believe me.
There should be, look, I think there should be some big listings coming up soon. Coinbase put out that they were considering a lot of assets for listings more recently. We tend to see that sometimes exchanges will wait until the market's a bit more bullish to list new assets. The reason being is that they want the biggest possible price impact. So when there's some volatility and alts are going down, we see that listings may slow down a little bit. But once this market starts to pick back up again, I would anticipate there'll be more listings coming in.
This has got to be the time, because everything's moving in that direction. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We hear that, we feel the sentiment. I think it's going to be, especially after this election, we should see some fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, definitely keep an eye out for volatility over the weekend and going into the Tuesday U.S. elections. I know from an institutional standpoint, a lot of our hedge fund clients are putting in options positions and stuff like that. So yeah, expect a little action in the market. Hopefully not turmoil action, but just positive regular action. And you know, a couple things. We've also been asked about features that are coming on. We're working on some features right now. We're going to let you know in the Slack membership some of the additional Slack channels, some of the additional features that are coming out. We don't want to unveil it too soon, but look for that those announcements over the course of like the next week. There are little tweaks here and there,
and additional assets as well.
Yeah, and you know, we run it like a democracy. So there's a, you know, we'll ask what people want as far as future supported coins and stuff like that, and always feel free to, you know, say it yourself and suggest it. And then we go behind the scenes and we kind of analyze which ones are going to gather enough data that's going to be important. And then Josh, you'll see he'll sporadically put out you know, a message saying, hey, we've just put support out for these coins. So,
and two more things to add. Really, this one is really important. Wesley just asked a question. When the coin alert comes out and it has a link to the exchange, could that coin be on another exchange for us that can't get the linked exchange? Absolutely. So when an asset is listed on an exchange, it doesn't necessarily mean that trading is live yet. With Coinbase, for example, when an asset gets listed on Coinbase, they start accepting deposits first, right? So people can put money in their exchange, market makers can come in and can start building up liquidity. And then a few days later, the asset will start trading. So when an asset gets listed on an exchange, that doesn't mean, hey, go to Binance and start trading it. That actually means, hey, go to another platform that has that asset. And so one thing I want to just point out really quick, one really easy way to do that is on CoinGecko. And so I'll just show you guys an example here. And we will at some point be adding this into the app itself where you can actually see which exchanges you can trade these assets on. But we could see here, for example, CoinGecko, Audius was listed on Binance. Previously, it was listed on FTX and Uniswap. So, users could have went on to Uniswap, for example, which tends to have support for every DeFi or ETH-based asset. And access that before it went on Binance. So as soon as a listing comes in, I recommend going to CoinGecko super quick, searching for that asset. Let's say, let's just say Wi-Fi as an example. Let's say Wi-Fi got listed on a big exchange. I mean, I know it's already listed on Binance and Coinbase, so that's probably not the case. But when you scroll down here, you'll see Spot, and you'll be able to see all those exchanges that you could trade Wi-Fi on. And you can actually click see all trading pairs. And so when a new asset gets listed, it's good to come here, look first at where it's available, and then go to that exchange. So you can, if you decide that you want to trade, you now know where you can place a trade, whether you're going to buy or you're going to sell or short or whatever else that you want to do.
I spy quite a few arbitrage opportunities there.
Also, another thing, folks, is that we're going to be doing, putting up a few short clips that we'll be pinning to the top of the open discussion on the members Slack channels, so that it'll have brief instructions on some of the things we covered today as far as the UI, the different pages and what you can do in case you forget. Also, we're organizing, we're planning our quarterly and our monthly different discussion sessions that we're going to be doing with the members as well, with research, analysts, trading. So look for those to be dropped. I know it's kind of vague right now, but we just started putting that together after, you know, the whole rush of launching off the system. So that's coming. Let's see. Anything else? I mean, and listen, we're in the Slack channel, so we're always available if we're not sleeping, like I said. I know we got to hop soon. We actually have to film our Trade the Chain episode that we do every Friday with the technical analysis with our analysts, Monty and CJ. So if you're around later, that gets recorded, but we drop that mid-afternoon EST time on this channel. So definitely pick that up. We have our hot or not list and all that. But anything else that we didn't cover right away?
Alex, one more question from the live chat. Joey Leclerc asked, does people putting Bitcoin from the alerts or others change prices on all exchanges? He's not sure how people putting money or coins in wallets affects things. Is that something you want to handle, Alex or Josh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Joey, that's a great question. So when there's any sort of forced price movements in crypto, it generally comes from the lit exchanges. Okay, so if Bitcoin,
guys, I gotta hop, but it was great
Thanks,
chatting with
Josh.
you all. Thanks for the questions. I'm in the Slack. You can tag at Joshua Frank if you have any other questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
So yeah, I know we're running a little over, but listen, you know, to Joey's question, when you trade on lit exchanges, and this is a reason why there's a OTC trading market out there, when you trade on lit exchanges and the market sees a lot of movement either in buying or selling of a coin, that's going to affect the coin, the price action on it. So if you see a lot of whale alerts or a lot of volume in purchasing Bitcoin, that's going to have a positive effect on the coin. If you see a lot of sell-offs happening on the lit exchanges, that's going to produce a negative effect on the price of the coin. Now, the way people have different ways of figuring this out, but if a whale wants to buy $10 million worth of Bitcoin, that's where OTC markets come. They're off exchange, the market can't see it, and so therefore it doesn't affect the price of Bitcoin in a negative way. And that's really important. And that's why the institutional folks do that, as to not hurt the market. And then as Rob has gone over on his channel with MicroStrategies, they did it in a very particular fast action way where they sent out microburst trades through the market. It probably took all day. If not a couple, and every 3 seconds or so, they were buying small amounts and accumulating them, but the market didn't see large buys, so they weren't artificially inflating the price. And the same would be said if they were doing that in reverse and selling it off. The market wouldn't see a large sell-off all at once, and it wouldn't artificially deflate the price. So great question, Joey.
Last
vendor.
Any recommendations for an OTC? Correct me if
I
I'm
won't be biased and say our firm, but there's you know, one thing that we are going to do. This actually triggered something in my head, and we're going to be adding a page to the website, and it's really, we're emulating Rob and what he's done over at his channel, and it's going to be, he has this really fantastic Excel spreadsheet. And no, we're not going to copy and paste it. What we're going to do is we're gonna put up different people that we know and love, and there's a few of them on Rob's list. But you say this OTC question, we're gonna put a couple of trusted OTC desks up there, so that if anybody has any needs a resource or something, they can go to that page as well.
perfect. All right, I think that's it, right, everyone?
Yeah, that's good.
Handsome Rob, have a great trip to Houston, and thank you as always, my friend.
I appreciate it, guys. Always good times.
Thanks, Rob.
Guys, thank you very much for joining.